All right, let's go to Seattle. Another guy who loves you, John Snyder, came up to you and was laughing it up about the podcast when we were at Ohio State. He's a big fan. Pete Carroll's still the head coach there. And, we talk about this all the time, how their 2 first-round picks are really good first-round picks, but also unconventional in the sense of what the media expected. Devon Witherspoon, the cornerback, and then they circle back and get Jaxon Smith-Njigba, the wide receiver. And they've both been dealing with injuries at practice. And just this is the time of year where these rookies have been training solely for the combine and all the silly season stuff that they're asked to do. And then they have to go back into football mode. And sometimes, and oftentimes actually, we see injuries. So are you concerned about the injuries? And did you have a plan for easing these rookies back into football shape based on what they did previously from January to April or whatever? And what is that plan? And then would you sort of ease them into the process as you got into training camp and then, of course, the season?
Yeah, I think even back 5 or 6 years ago, we just threw them in there and they just went. And that's, I think, with the way sports science is coming up now and how important that is. And when they come in, they do all these tests, this force plate testing on if
Yeah.
one hamstring's equal to the other hamstring or any imbalances because they're trying to predict potential injuries. I think more and more teams are bringing them in slowly, understanding what they have had to go through in this pre-draft process, and not actually working on specific football field drills because they're doing all these testing numbers and preparing for that, and all the traveling that they're doing, going on these top 30 visits. So I think more and more teams are being following what sports science is doing and how you slowly implement them so you can prevent injuries. Now you can't prevent, muscle injuries because these guys, they're going through an hour and a half some practice out there, individual drills, 7-on-7, team drills, and they're going full speed. And all these rookies are gun ho to try to prove themselves on why they were worthy of getting drafted where they got drafted, or why, or the later round guys or college free agents trying to make an impression that, hey, I want to throw my hat in the ring on making a 53 or practice squad. So their mind says something, but maybe their bodies aren't ready for what their mind is telling them what to do. Very similar to my golf game right now. I know what my mind is telling me what to do, but I'm in a very downward spiral and very disappointed in myself. I almost didn't come on this podcast because I was going to go bang the rock pile and hit 2 hours of balls again today. But I know how important I am in my supporting role to you and to Debo in this podcast. But you just have to be cautious because they're learning so much. And then they're, like I said, they're all excited to go out there and try to prove themselves that they're NFL players. And you just have to take a more cautious approach on some of these guys because they're not lining up and playing next week.
Right.
They got plenty of time. But most of the time, if they do have these minor injuries, teams will just hold them out just to make sure that they are healthy when they get ready to come back and report to training camp.
So we talked about a little bit with Cam Smith, the cornerback, the rookie cornerback in Miami. Who has a better, in your mind, is more likely to be an impact player for Seattle? Cornerback Devon Witherspoon, or is it going to be Jaxon Smith-Njigba, who will have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett also running routes with him?
I think Jaxon Smith-Njigba will have a big impact for them this year. But Witherspoon's coming in and starting right away.
Mm.
And so I think they both will have an immediate impact. That's hard to pick right now between one or the other. And now you're saying both of them were banged up, and both of them had a little bit of a durability concern, right? Witherspoon couldn't do anything during the pre-draft process till late.
Right.
Then Jaxon Smith-Njigba missed all last year with a hamstring, and then was able to be.
Well, let's be clear. I don't think the hamstring lingered for 8 months. I think it was probably 6 weeks, and
Okay.
he made a business decision. Just me speculating.
Okay, well, there you go. There's Dr. Ryan Wilson's opinion.
It didn't cost you anything either.
Wow.
And that's what it's worth. All right, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And I think, like I said, I love both picks. I think both picks make a ton of sense when you take a step back and are not just staring at the mock draft. All